Greetings, horse enthusiasts around the world. I am Andrew A. Turnbull, and this is IHF Live. Tonight, we welcome Kaleigh Marie of Braveheart Beasts, who's joining us from Rhode Island, USA. From pleasure to high-level performance, Kaleigh Marie's mission is to help her students forge a bond between horses and humans that lasts a lifetime. Her brand is Braveheart Beasts, and she focuses on liberty work, equine connection, positive reinforcement, and classical dressage through clinics, performances, and online education. We're going to learn about Kaleigh's Braveheart Beasts Connection Academy, which guides students online through the moments of learning liberty. We'll talk about her weekly Facebook video series, Attunement Tuesday, and we'll get to know this exciting and likable Gen Z relationship-based horsemanship clinician who represents the present and the future, moving the dial forward in the ongoing revolution in horsemanship with its positive effect on mankind. Let's give a warm IHF Live welcome to our special guest, Kaleigh Marie. And the crowd was wild.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for that very impressive introduction. I am so excited to be here tonight.
Thank you. And tonight we welcome somebody special who's with you.
Yes,
and
we have a
why don't
very
you go ahead and introduce this very special gentleman?
We have with us tonight the one and only Brendan Wise, my incredible other half. And I'm very, very excited to share not just what I do, but also the incredible things that he does with everybody tuning in with us, just to talk him up a little bit before we introduce him. He's not only an incredible horseman, but I feel like I just need to share what an inspiration he is to me for what I do with my own horses, and just the incredible kindness and wisdom he shows to everybody in his life. It just really deserves to be recognized. So excited to have him here with us tonight.
Well, say hello, Brendan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for having me on. And of course, thank you to Kaleigh, the kindest words possible, but I could easily echo those words back to her. Kaleigh has been an extreme inspiration to me, not only in the horse world and how she relates to her horses and guides her horses and becomes such a wonderfully connected person with her horses and helps others to do the same, but even just in my personal life, the kindness, the encouragement, the way she supports me, and the way we get to support each other in what we do is just absolutely incredible. So thank you guys for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, I love it. And also, she was so enthusiastic about you, and she talked about the fact that you actually practice relationship-based horsemanship in your high-level performance. And oh my gosh, when I heard that, I said, Kaleigh Marie, we have to invite him to have his own show. And so we're going to be back in touch with you. We'll be scheduling you for hopefully later in this year to have your own IHF Lives. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, that sounds great. That would be wonderful. I'm excited to be involved and get to share the experiences that I've had to this point and learn from others. And yeah, I mean, the more we can better understand our horses and connect with our horses, the most amazing things can happen. So I'm excited about all of it.
I'll definitely be in for that one.
Oh yeah, and before you go, there was something that you told us on the pre-show, and that was that you're doing your high-level performance sans bridle, nothing on the horse's head, right?
Yeah,
Talk a little bit about that, and talk about some of the challenges you're facing to get the opportunity to do that.
yeah. Bridleless has been a part of my life for quite a long time. Really, from the beginning of my professional career, bridleless has been a part of it, starting out in Western industries of just problem horses and young horse starting, and particularly reining and cutting and rein cow horse and those types of industries. So any good reining horse, you should be able to take off your bridle and run your pattern once that horse understands the ideas that you're looking at. It's a fairly, I would say, widely accepted concept for the most part when it comes to reining horses. And I had wonderful mentors that were such good bridleless riders that kind of got me in what I was doing with my teaching and with expo performance and exhibitions at rodeos and music festivals and having all sorts of fun bridleless at the time. And it wasn't until years later that I started to more pursue classical dressage and jumping. And now what I do is mainly focused in the show jump arena, though classical dressage comes hand in hand with that because I really see jumping as just dressage with obstacles in the way. So it tends to be that way. So what has happened now is I've started to develop a system, and my partner, those may be familiar with Unbridled Wings and Melanie Ferrio and her horse Wings, who started show jumping as well on the circuit. She was show jumping bridleless on the circuit with her horse full time, and which was really great. And that's kind of where things got started on a more serious level and started to ask the questions of, okay, is this something that we can develop into a system that's viable and good enough to take into competition? And I think Melanie and Wings proved that it was. To a certain degree, they competed to about the meter 10, meter 15 levels, about really where they were at the high child adult classes. And so Lyric and I, my horse, are now pursuing saying, okay, can we take this further? I mean, yes, the 110s are great, the 115s are great, but for this to be really something viable that's not just tricks, not just exhibition, but maybe something that can be brought into competition, like I believe it can be, I have to go out there and show it that it can be done, and it can be done safely, and it can be done to a level that can stand next to other bridled horses and still compete. So that's what we're doing. That's kind of the mission and the goal we're on right now. Lyric and I have been consistently jumping in the upper level jumpers together bridleless this winter down in Ocala, Florida at the World Equestrian Center and at HITS Ocala. We competed also in the 140 meter National Grand Prix together bridleless. So, there's still a lot of stuff to be developed at that level. At that level, the courses are highly technical in the bridle, much less out of the bridle. So a lot of my focus is making it so good, making the partnership, the connection, the communication, it has to be so good. And we both have to be so spot on with our jobs and trusting each other to do our jobs, to bring it into that level and compete against other bridled horses. We have a system in the US in show jumping, only US show jumping, that it's kind of a double-edged sword in that the tack rules are quite lenient. So you can have as barbaric as you want on their face and can have nothing on their face. It can go both ways. The rules allow for it to go whatever direction that you want to, basically. And I do like that because it gives us the opportunity to say, I'd like to strip this down because my horse does better that way. And obviously, Lyric and I are doing this bridleless. We just have a neck rope that we use that aids us in our communication at times. And I've seen other riders in the US start to work with bitless bridles and hackamores. And, Aaron Vale, quite a successful rider. He's one of the most successful riders we have in the US as far as show jumping goes. He was competing in the Grand Prix this winter with one of his horses just in a halter, just in a halter.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of putting that control in the rider's hand and saying, here's the freedom to do what you feel your horse goes best in. And so we're trying to just show that it's possible, that it can be safe, it can be done to a level that is just as professional and well balanced and everything that other people have in the bridle, but us be able to do it at the bridleless level as well. The same technicalities, the same bend and balance, the same posture, the same changes of collection and balance, and everything has to be achieved bridleless in the courses the same way as the bridled horses in order to make it possible. So that's what we've been showing, and I want to see how far we can take it.
Well, thank you so much. And yet, guess what? You just made my commercial for your IHF Live.
There you go.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Exactly.
if you want to stick around, you're welcome. But if you have a plan tonight, go ahead. But we thank you for being here. What a pleasure. So, Kaleigh,
Yeah, I've got a few minutes that I can stick around,
I'd love it. That'd be
and then
great.
I got to run. But yeah, I'll stick around for just a little bit.
All right, thank you. Out here in California, there are more horse owners than in any state in the union.
Yeah.
And many of us look forward to an event. It's a big event called Western States Horse Expo. And I was literally on the phone making arrangements with the managers of the Marietta Equestrian Center for our IHF booth when across my screen appeared a text message from one of the members of our board of directors, Ashley Bradspies, and she's on the call. She also lives out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And Ashley texted me with an excitement. She was so excited. Her announcement said, Kaleigh Marie and Brendan Wise have just been announced as headliners for 2024 Horse Expo. And so, Kaleigh, are you excited about you and Brendan coming out together?
So unbelievably excited. So excited. It's such an amazing opportunity to be traveling out there with my own horses and with Brendan. He'll have his boy Lyric there as well. So we're gonna make the drive out together. I'm gonna meet him in Maryland, and we're gonna pack up and hit the road, hopefully making it across the country. And I think the plan is 3 or 4 days between the two of us.
That's pretty fast.
I know. It's helpful when both of us know
Yes.
how to drive the rig. So I am planning to get plenty of beauty sleep in the passenger seat on the way there. And then when we do get there, we both have clinics that we'll be presenting, and then we will be in the evening show, the main event as well. I have an act, Brendan has an act, and then of course we have an act together.
Oh,
Also.
yes.
You'll be seeing lots of us. Yeah.
Well, we'll have a booth there, and we welcome you over at the booth, and we're definitely going to be. We consider you guys partners already, so this is very exciting that you're coming. Kaleigh, I understand you have some videos to share with us, and I think our group would probably love to see you talk a little bit about your beasts. Because you have some beasts, and they're amazing.
I do.
Yeah, so
I might introduce them before I pull the videos up, just so everybody knows the boys. So I have 4 of my own personal horses right now. I have 2 that almost anybody that knows me has seen, and that would be Alchemist and Elgin, the 2 black and white Frisian sport horse brothers. They're Frisian paint crosses. They're my first Liberty horses ever. They started this journey for me. And we have learned everything that we know now together. They knew, I like to say, a little bit less than nothing when I got them, in the sense that they both had some pretty bad habits when they showed up with me. Some of them were learned, some of them were just from kind of overwhelming amounts of anxiety. And so the journey I've been on with them has been enlightening in many ways to achieve what we have. And then more recently, I added in a little Dale's pony stallion named Mateo, lovingly known as Potato. And he is the crowd favorite. He is sassy. He has his own ideas about everything, absolutely adores working at Liberty, but puts his own spin on everything we do. So if you've ever seen us perform live, especially this year, he's been at the bigger shows. He'll be in California with us. He always adds a little bit of zest when we're in the arena. And then I also have a little coming 2-year-old Andalusian colt, Oro, who's kind of my up and coming star. So I've pulled up a few different videos. Let's see here.
Not to interject at all, but I'm gonna have to take off. But thank you guys so much for having me on.
We'll see you in 2 weeks out in California.
Yeah, exactly. Look forward to meeting you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
All righty, I'm gonna share my screen here. I figure we'll start stuff off with a little bit of a bang. This is just a promo video of me and the boys. I think with Liberty work, it can be really difficult to accurately describe it, since everybody has their own style and really expresses their work at Liberty in different ways. So this is just a compilation of a lot of different clips, mostly with Alchemist and Elgin, and then some with the other boys too. And then I have some of our recent shows as well. So that a Renaissance festival we got to perform at, so much fun. So much fun. So that the IHF actually competing bridleists as Elgin. Fine affair, yeah.
I like that. Wow.
Here's Mateo.
So is the black stallion Mateo? Is that right?
What's that?
You have a black
Oh,
stallion?
volume down. Fantastic.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, the black horse,
Yeah.
that's spectacular black horse. Is
Mm.
that your stallion?
Yes. I have a video. This we put together, I think in 2022. So somewhat
Nice.
recent, but a lot of things have developed since then.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. I thought there might be some interest in the I'll pause that, in the newer boys. And so this was from Topsfield Fair, which is one of my all-time favorite events to go to this year. I think will be our 5th consecutive year.
Wow.
It's one of the largest and oldest agricultural fairs in the country. It's huge. And I go every year with the horses and we perform. And so this last fall, I had all 4 boys with me, and they do work in a team of 3 and 4, Mateo, Alchemist, and Elgin, and then little Oro, who is just phenomenal. He's just worked himself into the team. So here he is about 1.5 years old here, which is pretty spectacular. Little bridleist Roman riding. Love a good adrenaline rush.
Neat. I love it.
Yeah. And then this is the team of 3. So these are the boys I'm traveling with right now. And then all 4.
Oh, Oro made it into this group.
Yeah.
Look at that color of Oro. I mean, it's gold.
Very clever. He's very clever.
Wow.
And our signature.
Yay!
Signature move. Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah, so that was Topsfield. And I mean, we could just spend 90 minutes going through videos. I mean, what horse person doesn't have videos and videos? Oh my goodness. I didn't pull this one up. YouTube is going crazy. This was for 4th of July last year.
That's
We
awesome.
had a great time. Oh yes.
Well, bareback and bridleless, showing us,
Yes,
show us what can be done. I
exactly.
love it.
With the flag and everything.
Yeah,
We
no,
had
it's great.
fun.
Holding the flag. That's exactly
So
wonderful.
we had a very fun day. Some liberty, good old fashioned desensitizing.
Oh, fun.
Oh my gosh. So
It's interesting. Sometimes when I'm talking with, there's people on the call that I've literally been with for over 20 years, and sometimes
mm,
we forget what it was like to just get a horse to have a flag next to them to it. And now, we do these things and you go, oh yeah, that, I mean, it's magic to some people, and you
yeah,
look magical doing it. So I love it.
yeah.
I'll let you keep going. This is great.
Thank you. Well, like I said, I have lots pulled up. I don't know how much you want me to share because I could keep going. This was our most recent expo. This was Equine Affair, which I think it's worth seeing some of the pieces that I've worked into here because it highlights a lot of what I've been working on at Liberty recently, which has a lot more to do with creating spaces and movements for the horses to seek on their own. So looking for them to be as relaxed and as engaged as possible to the point where they can start to perform Liberty without me with them. Like if I ask them to do something that they're still attuned and attentive and I can influence what they're doing, but I can also just leave them in spaces to move as I go to move somewhere else with a different horse. It becomes really like a dance.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Kind of a cool progression actually with the order of the videos. It wasn't intentional, but you get to kind of see the own personal development for me, learning how to combine the performance and the artistic side of this kind of work with the technical pieces too. And especially in the night shows like this, I don't think I've ever experienced the same kind of unadulterated joy that I have when I'm out there with them. Like it's a feeling that doesn't compare to anything else. So like here's where the technical pieces start.
Wow, he's doing his own circle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love
They're
it.
very, very good boys. They've been with me through a lot.
How fun. And then of course you're doing it all on bareback and bridleless, and oh my gosh. Well, that must have been a blast.
Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible.
Look at
And
him.
for them to be able to show up like this for me, like I said, they were the first Liberty horses I ever trained, and preparing them to be calm and confident and successful in these kinds of environments, like that's in front of thousands of people in lights, like they have to be so confident in themselves to be able to maintain this level of connection and focus. It's just awe-inspiring to me that we're at a point where they're willing to show up this way for me simply because I asked them to. Like it's incredible what our horses will do for us when we prioritize the connection we have with them.
Oh, cool. You got him to go up together. That's fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful.
Here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Did you have something
You're
else you
welcome.
wanted to show us?
I'm gonna find one clip because
Okay, sure.
he doesn't love Mateo. We'll start. We'll give Mateo a little time in the spotlight, and you'll get to see some of his feistiness.
Yeah, that's a big deal. He's an intact stallion.
Yeah, and Oro is a stallion as well. They all live together. I'm in the midst of a little bit of a social experiment with them. Just essentially socializing them and treating them as part of the herd, just to keep them as productive working members of the team. Like they have to be social and they have to be able to fit in.
That's amazing. Oh yeah. He's like,
And you can see him yawning over
like,
there.
well, you guys do that. I would like to play.
He would. That's all he wants to do. He's so ready.
Oh, looky there. Oh, wow.
That's his favorite part of the whole thing. That's what
That's
he shows up
great.
for. He's like, he just wants to feel like a big bad stallion. He's like, I'm the best. He
Yes,
knows
he's
he's
very proud of himself, isn't he?
good.
He
He's
likes,
very proud of himself all the
I
time.
love it.
All the time. Let's see.
So I tell you quick, today I had posted your on my Facebook page last night.
Yeah.
Well, one of the teacher, she was a swimming coach when I was a kid in the like 60s and 70s, and so I stay in touch with him. Well, he puts a video up from Braveheart Beasts of your black stallion. And he says, "Oh
Wow.
my God, Andrew,
Yeah.
have you seen anything like this?" Right? Oh,
Yeah.
look at you guys.
He is a proud little horse. And
Yeah,
then
well,
my
you
favorite part of every performance, we just run around.
fun.
Because at that point, I'm just so happy. I mean, that's like what a dream that is. Like I used to sit and watch these shows and be like, one day that is going to be me. And Fantasia specifically had been on my radar for I think like 6 or 7 years at this point.
Wonderful.
And they will do this sometimes too, is they'll do their own little victory lap, their own show.
I love watching them be horses. They're still
They are. Yeah. And they love their job so much too.
yes.
It means so much to me. And they just have such a good time. Yeah. So that I think that's a great note to end on there.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing all of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
thank you.
that kind of sets the tone for those of us that are just starting to get to know you.
Yeah.
And I know there's still a lot to cover, but I do want to ask you about your journey into horsemanship and on how you got into horses and your path to becoming a professional relationship-based horsemanship trainer and clinician.
Yeah. And I think for me, my start was a little unique. Not so much in the sense that I was born obsessed with horses, as I think many of us were. But I was born into a family that really had nothing to do with horses. And I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, in the city, moved to Vermont when I was 4 years old. And ever since I was little, I had just begged my parents for at least riding lessons. And so I started riding when I was 5. And grew up riding, never really thought about it as something that I might want to pursue as a career or as I'm sitting here now, dedicate my entire life to. But when I was 11 years old, I just by happy circumstance started working on a local dairy farm. And my first experience training animals was actually training a pair of twin Holstein bull calves that were born on that farm that the farmer gave to me at a day old and told me to train as oxen. And I had no idea what oxen were, but I was very enthusiastic at the idea of having my own animals, especially animals that I could train and work with. And so I went home, I told my parents, Mom, Dad, I have oxen. They're like, what are oxen? So we
Buddy.
went online and we looked it up, and there was one book. We found a single book on what oxen were and the training and how to use them and the equipment. And so we ordered the book, and through trial and error, hours and hours and hours of trial and error, I taught myself how to train these two little steers who I named Simon and Oliver.
Mhm.
And as I continued to train them, they turned out to be not so little. Holstein steers specifically get to be very, very large. They're about 6 feet tall and 2,500 pounds each. And they were almost all black as well. Like they were very, I'd say, intimidating maybe to those who don't know cattle, but they were also some of the most forgiving, some of the sweetest, most forgiving animals
Oh, that's good to
I
know.
have. Yes. Which, considering what I developed into doing with them, I didn't just train them as oxen. I was still dead set on the idea of getting my own horse. Couldn't have my own horse, so I did the only logical thing, and I taught the oxen to ride. And when I say ride, I don't just mean I would sit on them and plod around. Like they would walk, trot, canter. We'd go on trail rides. We'd go swimming in the river together. Like anything a teenage girl would do with her horse, I would do with these two these two steers. It was unbelievable. And as I continued to train them, they were in this field, just this 14-acre field of hills and pasture and woods. And it was my least favorite activity, needing to go out, find them, halter them, and then walk them all the way back to the farm. So I took it upon myself to teach them how to round up at liberty and ride bridleless back to the farm. I wanted to be able to just hop on one and have the other at liberty and just hitch a ride. And
Wow.
I didn't have any really idea of what liberty work was, or that like bridleless riding was a thing that I would want to pursue. Like, it was all born at first out of convenience.
Yeah.
And I started to really question what I might be able to accomplish with them. And they were the first animals I actually explored clicker training with. I taught them to do tricks. They would say yes and no and give kisses and shake hands and bow and do all kinds of things. Then they would work at liberty. I could ride both of them bridleless. Our signature move was Roman riding bridleless. They were just absolutely fantastic boys. And they were the start of my career.
So
When
you couldn't get a horse, but you did it with oxen instead.
I did it with oxen.
Love it.
Oh,
I
it
love
was,
it.
yeah, talk about a unique start. I'm gonna share a picture of them. Here
Oh,
they are.
good. Oh,
So
wonderful.
we were at a school that day, actually, in the soccer field doing a demo. And I mean, this is things that now, like with the horses, you'd really have to think about. It's like, okay, we're gonna have the horses at liberty. How do we set it up to be safe? Like, there were no fences here. I took them off the trailer, took the halters off, did a demo. Like,
Oh
they were
my
just
God.
so solid and so good. And it's one of those things, you don't realize what you have sometimes in that moment, but the things that those two boys gave me were just priceless, like irreplaceable, the things that I did with them. So that was the start to my career. I, as you can imagine, got noticed doing these things with them.
Yes.
I would travel to county fairs with them and compete in 4-H. And any chance I had, I would take the yoke off, which is the equipment that they work in as a team, and take the halters off and do liberty and ride them and do all kinds of crazy things. And so I started teaching relationship-based training with cows when I was 16 years old. I started to travel the country with them. We went all the way out to Michigan, all the way really up and down the East Coast. And I would present at colleges and draft animal power organizations and do clinics and really just immerse myself in this world of training cattle to show that there were more humane ways, based off of understanding them, based off of the relationship, to get them to do not just the things that people wanted them to do, but to push those boundaries and be able to go even further, which was just such a cool start. Like, it's a start that I value so much now, especially growing up working on that dairy farm, like the value of manual labor and hard work and self-discipline and being able to just show up and put in the hours no matter what. I feel like those values have carried over for me in a way that has let me achieve a lot of the things that I have in my life so far.
Well, you just extended my respect for the oxen right
Yeah,
there.
they're fantastic. And oxen specifically, they're not a specific breed. They're just a usually male cow that has been trained to work. So you could take any breed of cow and train it to be an ox or a team of oxen if you have two.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
it was just such a kind of a fairy tale childhood when you think about it. And eventually I was able to get my own horse and
Oh,
got a
good.
Braveheart. Yep.
You earned your own. You said, "Hey, do you think I could get a horse now, Mom?
Yeah,
You gotta
maybe
show."
have I like proved that I'm in this. And so I got myself a 2-year-old Percheron filly who is not trained. And so trained her to drive, trained her to ride, ended up getting her a teammate. And I actually drove horses for quite a little while. I had a carriage business. We would do hay rides and sleigh rides and weddings. And that experience got me into an outfit driving mammoth donkeys and mules when I was in Vermont. I've done a lot of pretty niche and eccentric things in my life, but I have to say it's definitely towards the top of the list. It was a job at a compost company called Vermont Compost, and the owner of this company absolutely adored mammoth donkeys. And I saw an ad looking for somebody to train his donkeys to pull a wagon into the city of Montpelier, Vermont, to deliver eggs to the local co-op once a week. And at that point, I was still relatively new to driving, had never worked with a donkey before, but I was like, sign me up. This is me. Like, I felt a calling, and I showed up, and he agreed to let me give it a go. And I was there for over 2 years, training these mammoth donkeys. We ended up starting a breeding program and doing all kinds of crazy cool things with them. And to be able to experience not just the cows, not just the horses, but to add the mules and the donkeys, because mules and donkeys are different. Like, mules are very much in the middle of the donkeys and the horses, and often they're not all the same. Like, they can end up kind of leaning more towards the horse mentality or more towards the donkey mentality. So it just added even more to the value of understanding each of the animals I was working with, understanding what they prioritized, like what they were looking to get out of the relationship that they had with me, because the way that they all think and the way that they all interact is different. So I couldn't show up to work with the cows the same way I would with a horse or a mule or a donkey. I had to apply the tools that I had in very different ways to get the desired outcome in a way that worked for every animal that I worked with. So the company name, Braveheart Beasts, was born from the beginning of my career, when I was working with any animal that showed up at the farm that my mom and I had. It was Braveheart Farm. And so if somebody wanted me to train their cattle, if they wanted me to train horses, donkeys, mules, you name it, we had such a menagerie of animals to work with. So where a lot of horse trainers name their business after training horses, I really didn't have that option, because I was training so many, beasts. So we called it Braveheart Beasts, because some of my heritage is very Celtic, so that kind of ties in, which is fun. And yeah, that was my beginning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's just declare you're 26, is that right?
25.
25. You're not 26.
26.
You're turning 26 soon. But when's your birthday? Just to make
In June, so
in
close.
June. Okay, so yeah, the same month that you're coming to California. Okay, well, we'll keep that in mind. But wonderful. Well, because the reason why I wanted to bring up your age is when I listen to what you've done already, it's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, it's impressive.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
not just that, but this whole thing about the different, I guess you wouldn't, you call them bovine, you've done equine,
Yeah.
other ines, I'm sure, whatever. That's just really cool.
Thank you.
So thank you for setting that up, because it really does set up the next question. On your webpage, you have an introductory video, and one of my favorite things that you say to horse enthusiasts is if you are skeptical and you worry that you don't have what it takes, everything is within you right now. Tell us what you mean by that.
So that is a sentiment that I have developed really from the process of being what I like to say is self-made. The idea of being self-taught, I'm not self-taught. I've gleaned a lot of information from a lot of different people. I haven't really had a specific mentor in my journey, but I've made what I have, which is something that is specifically mine. Like the method I use is one that I've developed. And being somebody that is self-made, having the belief that I am capable of creating and achieving the things that I'd like to see with my horses, and parallel to that, just in my life, like my horses are my life is my horses. The parallels between those two things are profound to me. being able to believe that and act from that belief has really opened the doorways to exploring and creating what is now a reality for me, something that I've wanted to have as my life, the career that I have, and the people that I have in my life, the horses that I have in my life. All of that comes from that belief. And I think interacting with my students and hearing their ambitions and learning about their goals and the things they want to accomplish, the single most common thing I hear from them as far as reasons why maybe they haven't taken the action towards making it happen is that they don't want to make the wrong move and they don't want to do the wrong thing, which comes from a fantastic place, right? We all want to do right by our horses and our people and ourselves. And I think it comes down to understanding the difference between knowing and experiencing. And I think many of us look for the opportunity to know something before we try to create an experience from it, where all of the things I now know or am practicing, like anything I know is up for discussion, right? We're always a student of the horse, but the things that I know now have always come from experiencing often the opposite of what I am looking for first. It's like if I am looking only for the things that resonate with me, I'm looking only for the opportunities to create what I eventually want to have, I'm going to miss out on the opportunities to learn what it is that I don't want. And that phase of learning, I think, is one of the single most important phases because it teaches us to recognize what we do want when it actually arrives. Like, I think when we started out, we have an idea of what we want, but we don't actually know what it is or know what it would feel like until we go through the process of discovering what we would rather leave behind. It's like you can't have the light without the dark, in a sense. Like they're defined by their relationship to each other. So just because we don't currently have the knowledge that we would like to, or maybe the skill sets that we would like to, what we do have is the ability to act and experience in this moment. Like right now, anybody that's sitting here, anybody that's listening, anybody that's not, it's like we have the incredible gift of the human experience, which allows us to act. Like every day that we wake up and every day that we experience our lives, that's all we need in order to create things that we want to experience and that we want to see. So when I share that, like that idea that even if you're skeptical of yourself, like you have everything you need within you right now, all you need is the ability to create. You don't even need to know what you're after, you just need to act. And the experience of creating will lead you to the things that you want to find.
That is fascinating. You're a well, and this reminds me of watching one of your Attunement Tuesday. You're quite the you really share a lot of wisdom for somebody who's not even hit the big 3-0 yet. So I'm pretty impressed there. That's great.
Thank you.
Our viewers are dedicated enough to learning to spend 90 minutes with us, and they're all interested in relationship-based horsemanship. Can you tell us how you approach teaching students to understand equine behavior, liberty work, bridleless riding, classical dressage, and positive reinforcement?
Yes. So all of those things you just listed, I would refer to them generally as something I would call a context for connection. So there's a principle, or I guess more of a philosophy I use in my training, which is the idea of working from a place of intention versus expectation. And when we work from a place of expectation, what I've found is that we look for something external, something outside of ourselves. If it's with our horses, often a behavior we're wanting to see or something we're wanting to create an experience, and we are relying on the visual marker of that thing to define our success. Like I want to see that thing, and then I know this has worked and I have been successful. And that idea for us of wanting to be successful, like that sentence, I have been successful, it has a tendency to be ego driven, to prioritize our success over sometimes the horse's experience or even our own experience. And prioritizing the expectation, in other words, can lead us to forsake the feel of the situation. So when I'm working from a place of intent, instead of saying, I want to see or achieve this physical thing, I'm going to say, I want to help my horse feel X, Y, and Z. I want to help this horse feel playful and engaged. I want to help this horse feel relaxed and consistent. Whatever the goal is for that day, the intent, I define it as a purpose that drives action. So if I define a feel as my intention, I can still use what would be my expectation, whether it's written or on the ground. I can use that thing as a context for the intent. So just random example, let's say I'm riding a horse schooling shoulder in, right? Instead of saying, I'm going to make the shoulder in happen, I'm going to say, okay, this horse feels a little bit distracted and a little bit anxious. So I'm going to use the shoulder in to look for and reward moments of that horse relaxing and becoming more connected. So it changes the way or the depth of what I'm looking for. And what that means in terms of my students essentially is teaching them how to use the process of training or the steps that guide us through the things that we want to create while achieving feel at the same time, because we need both of those things. I think that they are separate, but that they coexist. You can't have one without the other. But especially in a lot of the training programs out there, feel, I don't think, is prioritized enough. It's like we're given the steps. It's like a bullet list, like get your horse to do these physical things and you should end up with this result. And many people end up with a result that's completely different because the feel wasn't mixed into the equation. So prioritizing that for me is such a big part of my teaching. It's been an incredibly powerful part of my own journey personally as well, because I feel like you have to become kind of intimately connected to the process, like understanding the steps before you start to break the mold a little bit and experiment with all of the different perspectives and angles and approaches that you can take when you're teaching other people. Basically, you have to know the rules before you break the rules. And so I've spent a long time figuring out rules that worked to create the physical things that I wanted to see. And as I said, those things are always evolving, and I hope they always will be for the rest of my life. If I stop evolving, something is terribly wrong. So when I first started this whole journey of teaching and training, I'm sure this is similar for many of us. The draw was the horses, the idea of being able to work with the horses and really base my life around them. And as my career has developed and as I've developed a more in-depth understanding of just how deep of an impact they can have on us as people and how similar they are to us in the way that they think and act and experience, it has really become more of a journey in connecting with people through their horses, but also connecting people to themselves through their horses. It's like people show up to my clinics with the intent to focus on liberty work, bridleless riding, clicker training, whatever the draw was. We focus on a lot of different things, but the underlying like current or subtext, if you will, is always helping those people come to life in their own way. I've mentioned it a couple times that our horsemanship is really just a form of self-expression. And I think liberty work is that way, especially because it's not a really at this point a discipline. Like it's not defined by specific rules. People create it in all kinds of different ways. And really, it is the physical manifestation of a relationship. It's like, what have I done to convince this animal that really has no obligation to me? What have I done to convince them that it's actually worth their time to show up for me? Am I good at communicating my boundaries? Am I aware? Am I engaged? Am I being influenced by things that are happening outside of my time with my horses? Like, is my outside life coming in to affect my time with them? Am I in control of my own emotions? Like, is my childhood trauma shining through? Like, who knows? Who knows what's going to come out in those moments? But the depth that we can reach in people through this work, to me, is just mind-blowing. And the emotional release, I think, that people experience from having a space that encourages self-exploration alongside their horses has also been incredibly powerful. Because I think something I've witnessed a bit in horsemanship is like, when our own emotions come up, it's that idea that like we're going to leave them at the door, or we fall off, we get scared, we ignore the fear, and we get back on. Like, there's a lot of dysregulated habits, emotional habits on the human side when it comes to horses. So being able to be attuned to our horses, be attuned to ourselves, and let the relationship flow from there, it creates something that's just so cool.
Wow, that's awesome. And of course, you call it Attunement Tuesday when you give us
I do.
this.
I do. Yeah.
Yes, tell us about it. Tell us about your goals and why you do Attunement Tuesday on
Um,
Facebook. By the way, for all of you that
yeah.
aren't familiar, if you go to Kaleigh Marie's Facebook page and you follow her, I've been watching on Tuesdays. I get to get a little lesson, and sometimes it's not about the horsemanship. Sometimes it's about peoplemanship. But tell us about Attunement Tuesday.
So Attunement Tuesdays are a weekly ritual for me, and they happen every Tuesday. I've been doing them for I think over 3 years now, probably closing in on 4. I've never missed one.
Hey!
So I know when I say ritual, like it's a kind of a sacred thing, like a moment of self-reflection for me every week. Because whatever tidbit I do share, I often try to relate it to my own personal experience. So it comes from an authentic place. Like, I feel like if I'm resonating strongly with it, I can articulate it in a way that helps people connect to it as well. And it started as something much different. I really just wanted to be able to share little tips and tricks with my horses before I had any of what I have now. And I used to call them Tip Tuesdays. So it was much more like how to tie a rope halter, like how to keep your horse from passing you when you lead them, like just little training tips more than anything else. And as I continued to develop as a person and as a trainer and as a horsewoman, I noticed kind of a significant shift in my focus, where they started to become much less technical and much more philosophical. And when I was introduced to this idea of attunement, which is such an important piece of building productive relationships, that is when Attunement Tuesdays were born, because I felt like they were really focusing more on the relationship side of horsemanship rather than the technical side. And it's really fun for me, like looking back on all of the Attunement Tuesdays I've done, it's almost like a weekly diary, if you will,
Yeah,
because it relates so strongly to what I was going through in those moments. But I also get to see how much I've grown as a person.
yes.
Like, the ideas I had back then, I might see little tidbits of what has grown into understandings I have now. And it's like,
I
she
love it.
had no idea. She had no idea what was coming. And I'm sure me 3 years from now is going to look back at me and say the same thing. So I just love it as an opportunity to share things that I hope help people. Like, I want them to be real and inspirational, and to show people really the magic and the meaning of what's happening around them, and how to create the best experience for themselves that they possibly can.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. And I'm going to watch Attunement Tuesday from a different perspective now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So one of the things that I've been interested in for years, and especially after reading Dr. Miller's book, The Revolution in Horsemanship and What It Means to Mankind, and it is the inspiration for this for our mission in this show, which is the revolution continues, right? But one of the things that I'm always interested in is who influenced my guests to obtain their excellence in horsemanship. And I want to go to a quote right out of your website. It says, a wide variety of opportunities have shaped you early on in your career, paired with influences from trainers across the globe, which led you to travel, teach, perform internationally, and to develop your own unique approach to training. Can you tell us about who influenced you and who you're studying with now?
Absolutely. So I think as far as influences go, as I've said, I've gleaned a lot of information from a lot of different people, and resources like books. I think honestly, Facebook groups are so underrated. Like I'm part of, if I ever see a Facebook group that spikes my interest in any way, I will always join, always read through posts, because every once in a while you will just come across a little nugget of information that will make something else click. And much of the information I have sought after on my own hasn't even been related to the horses. Like when it comes to kind of the scientific or the technical side of things, I had shared with you earlier that I could be a little bit of a nerd about that stuff sometimes.
We love it.
So I
We
know,
love
so
it.
being able to learn about like human psychology and the nervous system and the polyvagal theory and just like behavioral theory in general, whether it applies in that context specifically to people or to horses. As I mentioned before, the overlap is incredible. So a lot of it has been discovering this information and then just working through lots of trial and error, like I did with the oxen. That's been my way since the beginning. And noticing where these concepts come up, where they overlap, if I feel like there's a piece that I'm missing, or if I see something that I can't make sense of or define, then that's the next motivation to kind of chase down the knowledge that I'm looking for. And sometimes that knowledge will be found in a book or a video, and then sometimes with other trainers. And the specific knowledge that influenced me to really start to seek instruction from other people also started to influence my travels. And anytime I have packed my suitcase and stepped out my door to go travel somewhere, I never come back as the same person. That's one thing that I have learned. And so now it's something I'm hungry for. And the first trainer I traveled abroad to go and study with was Ben Atkinson.
Hey,
The
Ben,
UK.
awesome.
Yep. I worked with Ben a couple times in 2022, which was really when I was cracking into my own methods or my own space. I had pieced together tools from other Liberty trainers, other methods that had worked to create a physical product, but that idea, like expectation versus intention, the feel within the thing I had created wasn't what I wanted it to be. Like the connection wasn't as relaxed or as elastic as I was desiring it to be. And I had admired Ben's work since I discovered Liberty work. And so when he had shared about a clinic happening in the UK with Frederick Pignon, who's like the grandfather of
Oh,
Liberty,
yes.
such a cool guy. Ben said on this post, he shared this post about this clinic, and he said, if there's any Liberty clinic you're going to audit, let it be this one. And I was like, well, if Ben said it, it must be true. I'm going to buy a ticket. And I
Yes.
bought an auditing ticket and a plane ticket, and I made plans to go to England to watch this clinic, and just decided to put it out there to my following on the off chance that I had followers in England that wanted a clinic, that I would be there. And I posted on Facebook, and there was a woman who wanted to set something up. So I set up my own clinic on the weekend before this clinic I was going to audit. And that meant I had a week in between And the stars ended up aligning, and I was able to go spend time with Ben and one of his close friends, Oliver Phillips, who's been a big influence in my work with the Airs Above the Ground. And that was my introduction to them. So not only did Ben throw me in head first with his horses, like within 2 hours of meeting this guy, I was Roman riding with 6 horses at Liberty, like just crazy
Wow.
experiences. It was that the time I spent there was some of the most influential moments I've ever had with horses that weren't my own. And it was because of the feeling. It wasn't even about like the technicalities. Like he would put me in situations, and I would be able to like feel the connection with his horses. And I mean, props to him for training those horses to the point where they would readily offer that to somebody that they had never worked with before. I mean, I like to think I know maybe a little bit about what I'm doing enough to offer them the opportunity to show up that way. But all of that, oh, this is Angel.
Yay, we got a cat.
Yes.
Awesome. Oh, what a beautiful cat.
She's so
You know, there's
sweet.
a rule in the United States that you have to have at least one cat per
Yeah,
Zoom meeting. So thank
really
you for your
perfect.
cat.
Check that off. Well
That's
done.
awesome.
Where were we? The feeling in these
Yeah, you were
in these
talking about the
horses.
feeling that you
Yeah,
were. Now, was it the feeling of being amongst these people? Was it the feeling of being with the horses?
it
Was it
was.
when
I
you
mean,
were
it was
doing
the
this?
experience as a whole, but coming from what I was seeking, like I mentioned in my journey of learning, if I feel like I'm missing a piece, like that idea of creating, like I'm experiencing these things that I don't want to experience, right? I'm in this space and now I can recognize them. Like the horses aren't relaxed enough, the connection isn't consistent enough. Like I need then to seek the thing that's going to let me experience what I do want and not what I don't want. And I didn't know quite where I would find it. And when Ben let me work with his horses, the incredible amount of enthusiasm that those horses have to show up at Liberty and work with you, it was overwhelming. Like I felt like my work at home was so delicate and precise. Like I'd been doing a lot of work with the clicker training, but not creating something that my horses wanted to show up to. She's back. She's very busy. To show up to in a consistent and a relaxed way. So going to work with Ben, these horses didn't even need to know what you needed them to do. Like it was harder to keep them away from you than it was to keep them with you. And to experience like the night and day difference between what I was working to improve at home and what he had there, I didn't even need to know the technical pieces of how he made it. Like once I had that feeling, I was like, that's what I'm going to go create. And the process of not having the technical pieces, but knowing the feeling that I wanted to achieve is a big part of what led me to develop the tools that I have now, which is really neat. So he's influenced a lot of what I would call my process, like the steps that I go through to teach a horse to work with me at Liberty, to lay strong foundational pieces to create a natural desire to, as I say, just coexist with energy, with movement. Like, can we just move and be around each other without me needing to hold on to my horse, without them being overly connected to me? Like, can we just have a natural desire to be together before I ever ask them to do anything complex or advanced? And so that was influential. And then from there, this idea of like feeling like the more profound side of horsemanship, the philosophical, the emotional, the energetic, like all of the, we might say woo, the woo side of horsemanship. I have been wildly inspired by Will Rogers over in Germany, who I met in Colorado last summer. It was a serendipitous occasion. We were both in the same place at the same time, teaching at the same farm. He was supposed to have a clinic there at an entirely different time, but it was rescheduled. And so we got to spend the week together in between. I taught a clinic, we spent time together, and then he taught a clinic. And he absolutely changed everything I felt or thought I knew about like the source of my work with my horses, like where my work comes from, where my teaching comes from, like what the actual goal is when we are working with them. Like he just turned everything upside down in the best way. And now I call it cracking eggs. It's like he cracked an egg open for me. And I say that because like in clinics, I'll have a similar intent for the people who show up really looking for transformations. Like when we crack into something, it's going to be messy at first. But as we work through it, that's where we really get into the meat of it. And so it's kind of a cool question for you to ask now, because as I'm sitting here, my bags are actually packed downstairs.
Yeah, you
I'm
got
headed to the
scheduled.
airport tomorrow. Yeah, I'm actually going to Colorado first. It's my sister's wedding. A little bit of personal time with my family, and then going from Colorado to Germany to spend a week and a half with Will in a little bit of a personal collaboration working with his horses at Liberty. So I am so excited. Like I said, I know who I am when I come back to this spot after that trip. It's not going to be who's sitting here now. So I'm really excited and inspired to see what's waiting for me there.
So let me summarize. You're going to Colorado to hang out. Then you're going to go to Germany. Oh, Colorado's with your parents. You're going to then you're going to go to Germany to see Will Rogers and work with him. And then you got to get back home so you can get in a truck and come cross country 3,000 miles with your boyfriend to come see us out here in California.
Yep. And then after that, it is home for a photo shoot with my wonderful photographer, and then off to England.
England? Is this more time with Ben?
I am not sure if my paths are going to cross with Ben while I'm over there, but there's another trainer. Her name is Mia Rodley. She is fantastic. Basically, like the female Ben in the UK. So Roman riding, Liberty work, bridleless riding, and really quality work. I really appreciate how she approaches her horses, and we just connected, and she has agreed to let me go stay with them. I have 2 clinics I'm teaching, and then the time in between I'm going to be spending with Mia, which I'm so excited about.
Wow, this is fascinating. What a great journey. Thank you for sharing about that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, tell us about, I promised in the beginning that we'd talk about the Braveheart Beast Connection Academy. What's going on there?
So the Connection Academy is my virtual learning platform. And as I'm talking about all of my travels and my somewhat crazy schedule, it shines a light on the fact that I am not always able to be consistently teaching people in person. Like traveling now internationally to teach, I might only be seeing my students in person once a year. And in order to provide the most immersive and supportive experience, to give them the ability to use the tools that we discover through Liberty work in their daily lives with their horses, I needed to create a platform that gave them access to those tools 24/7. And so that was the driving idea behind what created the Connection Academy. And so it's an ever evolving being. I feel like it has its own life in the sense that we're adding content to it all the time. Right now, the content, the Liberty content anyway, focuses mostly on Mateo, my little stallion, from the very beginning of his journey with me, all the way to what he knows now and what we're working on now, and other horses as well, clinic horses, training horses. All of those videos are in there. We film entire sessions. Those sessions, when we post them, are unedited. As somebody that's experienced a lot of video content, it was always frustrating to me when I'd see a horse that was already trained do something perfectly, and I feel really excited when I see the video. I'm like, I'm gonna go do this, and then I would go and try it with my own horse and have it not go according to plan, and then not have anybody to follow up with to be like, hey, why didn't this work. And even, I mean, even in the real time videos, like we're filming horses that have never done these exercises before or are in the midst of their training. I could film every single horse I've ever worked with and still not be able to produce videos specific enough for everybody working their horses at home. So part of this platform is also a social platform where students can ask questions and interact with me and other students so that it's a fully interactive and immersive experience. Like whatever you're working on, you're always going to have somebody there to circle back to and ask questions to if you need to.
That's awesome. Do you have a film crew that follows you around?
So I have a small group of very dedicated helpers. I would
Yeah.
not be able to do any of this without them. So I have one person and my iPhone and a tripod, and I have a little it's like a little Bluetooth mic. It clips to my
Yeah.
shirt and plugs into my phone, and we just film with the iPhone and post it. And it's available right on my website, braveheartbeasts.com. We just went through a huge revamp, like rebuilt the whole platform, integrated it with the website, so it's really easy to access now. So we're like official now, which
I
is
love
so
it.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
That's great. So one of the opportunities I have now that I'm in a little more influential space in the
Mm,
International Horsemanship Foundation
yeah.
is I want to remind everybody on the call, including you, our mission, and that's to enrich the lives of humans and horses through relationship-based horsemanship education, communication, and community.
Mm,
We are a nonprofit. We are today participating across North America, including US and Canada, and of course, um,
mm,
this really needs to go worldwide. And as long as we can develop that support network, we will. But along the way, in your expanding role as a leading clinician,
yeah.
what advice can you give me as executive director so
Oh,
that our nonprofit can serve our currently tiny but growing segment of the ginormous horse industry?
mm. This is a really deep question, I think, and I think my answer ties back into some of what we've spoken about already, which is the creative process and how when we look at the process of creating, like we might look at anything we create in a sense as a form of art, whether it's actual art like a painting or just a product of what we are working towards, something that we believe in. Like what you've created here in its own way is artistic. And I think when we look at something artful, it can be beautiful and inspirational, but we also have to understand that very naturally there are sometimes unseen rules that are tied into how we create the things that we want to have. There's a book actually that I'm in the midst of right now. It's called The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, and it ties in so beautifully to this.
The
And in one
creative
of the
act. I'm
The
writing that
Creative Act, yes,
down.
highly
Okay.
recommend.
Yeah.
And in one of these chapters, he references rules and this idea that it's easy, even as we're creating something that feels original, to be drawn to these rules. Like so many, he uses famous paintings as an example. Like so many of these paintings are famous and the styles are different, but all of them are canvas stretched over a rectangular piece of wood, right? It's like that is the norm.
Right.
And looking at what you've created here, it's not the norm. Like right now, relationship-based training is something that feels a little bit separate than that canvas over that rectangular frame. But he also references this idea that the world isn't here to see what's already been done. It's not looking for what's familiar, it's looking for what's new and what is becoming relevant. And I feel strongly that relationship-based training in the equestrian world is what is relevant and what is becoming more and more relevant every day. And that as creators, as true artists, what we need are the rule breakers, the people that don't follow what is familiar. And I feel like learning about you and hearing your mission and just getting to know you as a person, you absolutely fall into that category of the rule breakers. And
Thank you.
although there might not be very many right now, like that's what we need. And every single day that you provide this platform for people to come to and connect with each other and with like-minded trainers and horsemen and horsewomen, you are allowing more and more of us to be rule breakers as well. So I think my advice to you is just to keep breaking the rules, even
Thank you.
if it doesn't feel like the current is moving in that direction just yet. Like there has to be somebody that makes the first move, and there has to be somebody that leads the charge in a way. And I feel like the mission you have is a big part of that. So it just makes me that much more excited to be a part of it here with you tonight.
Thank you so much. That was really moving. It's inspirational, and it, you know, I feel very fortunate. I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley and, you know, school before that. And I've been a horse doing relationship-based horsemanship, first the Pirelli program and then on to others and learning for 25 years. And I always wanted to have a job in the horse industry.
Yeah.
I finally had my first job in the horse industry and getting to do this from a perspective of bringing more management and organization and maybe moving this nonprofit toward helping the whole world in terms of relationship-based horsemanship everywhere. And you just articulated it so well. Thank you so much. I'm even more inspired after what you just said than before our call today. Thank you. No, I love it. Hey, Kaleigh, can you stick around for a few minutes, because after we break, we're going to invite everybody who's here to stick around. We'll just turn on. Everybody gets to come on, and anybody who wants to talk to you, ask a question. It's kind of our backstage. It's a reward for those that are here on the live. Our reward is that they get to meet you, and if you can stick around a few minutes, let's do that. Is it okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Well, tonight we got to meet a young woman who is already moving the dial. I am very excited. I just happened to bump into her at the Kentucky Horse Park when I was at the Liberty Festival last year. And then I actually had an opportunity to speak with, I was on a panel with Warwick Schiller and a couple of wonderful ladies. And we got to speak about the philosophy of liberty. And after the show, or after our group, it's kind of fun to, you know, stick around. And this group came over to me, and it was two women carrying around, and they were wearing the brand Braveheart Beasts. And they said, Andrew, you have to meet Kaleigh Marie of Braveheart Beasts. And in that moment, then I went, okay, I raised my ears went up. Okay. And then when I got home, I looked you up and I got to know you a little bit more, and gosh, how wonderful. I didn't know it was going to be this great. And however, as we've gone through tonight, your career, that even went back to Oxen, and then you moved on into developing some relationships with some people over in Europe who are doing tremendous things, and you're building something, and now you're building something with a very important boyfriend named Brendan, and you guys are kind of going to come out to California to the big one. We call it the big one, the Western States Horse Expo. And what I look forward to is partnering with you over the long run to really move the dial on relationship-based horsemanship everywhere. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's been my pleasure. To all the people from around anywhere watching this tape from anywhere in the world, those of you across America and Canada who are here with us tonight, thank you so much. And just one more thing, would you like to say anything before we close?
Just the biggest thank you, Andrew, for including me in this. This really has been so much fun and such an honor to be involved in something so meaningful.
Thank you. Well, to everybody across the country, all of our supporters, everybody at the International Horsemanship Foundation who work hard on our mission tonight. And thank you so much, Kaleigh Marie, and thank you to Brendan for joining us. And to all of you, may the horse be with you. Good night,
Such a
everybody.
magic feeling to ride with fireflies. Fireflies, I love to ride with fireflies.